Well, it was fun while it lasted, I guess. So you got the Spurs building their dynasty, their next dynasty. You got the 76ers probably going to fuck up another top four pick because that's what they do. You got the Charlotte Hornets probably going to fuck up another top four pick because that's what they do. And Dallas Mavericks, I feel like they deserve a break. I mean, their owner slash GM doesn't, so it's kind of tricky. Their fans do. That's a little tricky. It's like, do you reward the fan base who just had something awful done to them, or do you punish the the franchise itself? Well, they're not being punished. Top four pick. I mean, that's good. But not good for the Bulls. Wizards get hosed again. Hornets and Sixers gonna fuck up more lottery picks. Mavericks fans deserve Can we get to it, man? They really do drag this out. All the fucking commercials. Gotta get the 4imprint commercial in there. Gotta make sure we get the gambling commercials in there. Where would we be without commercials? How would I know what I'm supposed to do with my life? Okay. Are we gonna get a copyright strike for having the audio? We might. Yeah, no, I mean, we might. Yeah, so the team with the worst record still has not won the draft lottery from what I just read in a tweet on the Twitter. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, Field Yates tweeted, since the NBA changed its lottery system in 2019, the team with the league's worst record has never won the lottery and picked first overall. It's six. Six of them. It's not that many. Immediately after the lottery concludes here in Chicago, one more look at the man of the moment, that is Cooper Flagg, along with the to hear which team will get the number one pick in next month's NBA draft. And the 60 table, we were on a wild ride as we see Nick Nurse, Elton Brand, and Daryl Morey. You guys are inside the top four as we await joining the Philadelphia 76ers, the Charlotte Hornets, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Dallas Mavericks. And once again, joining us to announce the order of the top four picks is NBA Deputy Commissioner and Chief Operating Officer Mark Tatum.
Thanks again, Kevin. The fourth pick in the NBA draft goes to the Charlotte Hornets.
The Hornets aren't getting the first pick.
Picking third will be the
Okay, at least the Sixers don't get Cooper Flagg. It'll be Mavericks get the first pick. Yeah, Mavericks get the first pick.
And that means that the number one pick in the 2025 NBA draft goes to the Dallas Mavericks.
Rolando Blackman, all smiles, four-time All-Star, celebrating. The Dallas Mavericks had a 1.8% chance to win the number one pick overall in next month's draft. They
there.
All right,
And the lottery.
let's break it down.
Again, the chance to
Let's break it
get
down.
to the top four at 8.5%.
Let's break it down. Let's break it down. Let's break it down. Let's break it down.
To win the number one pick, and it is the fourth lowest all-time to
Set it to
win the
transform.
NBA lottery. Last year
Set
we saw the Hawks
eight.
at 3%. Now you see the Mavericks cracking the top five at 1.8%, and they are on the clock. And Sean
Okay, we can talk about it.
with the winners.
Rolando.
So, Mavericks fans, yeah, Mavericks fans deserve something good for sure. And, you know, ownership obviously doesn't. I mean, this is like gonna fuel the rumors that the league is rigged. I don't know how you could, I don't know how you could look at this objectively and be like, oh yeah, I'm sure that was above board and totally normal. Like the worst trade in NBA history, a historically horrible trade, and the NBA here, have another generational player, please. Don't be mad at us. Luka goes to LA, Cooper goes to Dallas. You still have stars in major markets. Bulls, they don't give a fuck about Chicago. If the idea is to rig the NBA for the biggest cities in America and for what will generate the highest revenue on television, they're sure doing a shitty job at making sure Chicago is represented, because we are the third largest market that isn't shared. So New York being one and LA being two. I don't know what you want me to say, you know, like it feels it almost feels deliberate at a certain point, right? You know, you get to a certain point where it stops feeling like they're rigging it, you know, for teams and maybe just rigging it against certain teams. We're obviously having some fun, but it's tough. It's a tough scene out there right now. Yeah, so 12th, there's going to be some decent players available around 12. I've mentioned him before, but Trey Johnson, kid out of Illinois. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but you know who I'm talking about. He might be there. Derek Queen, maybe. I feel like he probably won't fall that far. And then the after like the 12 to 14 range, the quality does kind of drop off quite a bit. But yeah, this was the most likely outcome, right? So can't be too shocked by the most likely outcome. It stinks from just a, you know, like fan standpoint of how many times we've been through this now. And it's the same shit. So I don't know what the right answer is in terms of, like, you don't fire AK right now, but like it's not his fault that they didn't get the lottery to go their way, but it also is like we shouldn't be in this situation to begin with. And I guess that's where the frustration comes in, is that like this shouldn't have been a problem, you know? This shouldn't have been a problem the way it is, at least. Bulls had trade assets. They had decent players. They made really shitty moves with those players. They made really short-sighted moves with their draft picks. And I thought we had God on our side, man. What happened to Chicago Pope? What happened, broski? Too soon on the job to start pulling those strings for your benefits? It's too early on the job to start pulling the strings, I guess. I mean, if we prayed for this and we've hoped for this for years and we got a Chicago Pope and it didn't happen, I guess the only logical response or reaction would be to reject religion. God is dead. Fuck, man. Well, Someone said we're 12th. Watch AK derp around and pick a role player at 12th. I mean, yeah, that's probably what we're looking at here. Best case scenario. I mean, the Modest thing ended up being a pleasant surprise, right? He fell to us, and he ended up being quite a good rookie. And who knows? But yeah, I mean, I think best case scenario with the 12th pick is that you get like that kind of thing. You get like a cool surprise, pleasant surprise. But the most likely outcome is definitely going to be a role player. I mean, it better be, right? Like, you better at least get a role player at the 12th spot. And I don't know, maybe the idea is to trade down or back. The class this year is relatively weaker, I guess, is what people are saying. Next year is going to have at least more top heavy. It's going to have more players at the top that are considered top tier talents. So I don't know. Maybe the idea is you forego the 12th pick this year, which was the entire thing that they did, trading Levine and getting that pick back. But maybe you trade back. You forego your first this year, trade back in the first round, try to get a first next year from a team that might be in the mix, and hope for the best. I would be thinking along those lines, because you want to have your own pick next year for sure, because the Bulls, I mean, I don't know. I keep saying it. I don't know. The Bulls want to have their own pick next year. Ideally, they will be closer to either the playoffs or the tank to get a good pick. This middle ground thing isn't really working, but I guess, yeah, I don't know where the hell I was going with that. Yeah, I mean, you just gotta hope for the best if you do it. Like, if it were up to me, I was doing like an 2K trade. If we were playing this like 2K, I would definitely be wheeling and dealing a little bit, because you're looking forward to the draft class next year that has guys like Cam Boozer. And I mean, it would be cool. It would be a cool story to bring Carlos Boozer's son back to Chicago. I think that would be really cool. And I guess if the NBA was going to rig anything for us, it'd probably be something like that. Keep going back to this rigging thing. Yeah, I mean, Goro, you said it in chat. I would either trade back or take a big in the first round. I think you stay put until you get to the pick. You see who's available when you get to the pick, and then you start fielding some calls while you're on the clock, depending on who's available. So I think this should be a fluid situation, right? I don't think anyone's mind should be made up right now. Like, we're for sure taking this player, for sure he'll be there. It's not as much of a sure thing. Like last year, I do think, even with the slight change, the slight bump down in draft position, I do think last season you looked ahead and you felt like you're probably going to get a decent player at that position, at that draft position. So maybe you don't trade back, maybe you don't trade that pick, you stay put, get a decent player who turns into a pretty good player in Modest. This year, I do think that there's a higher chance that you get to that 12th pick and you feel like nobody on the board really doing it for me, or at least with regards to the other kind of options, and maybe you've had some talks before leading up to the draft, what some of those other options might be. And who knows? Maybe teams don't even want to fucking trade with the Bulls. That also is a very likely and realistic possibility. But I'm just, I guess, just thinking, strategically where my mind is at. Uthman, why do we even care? Realistically, tanking is never going to make Big Jerry enough cash from meaningless wins at the UC. I'm doing the Doomer act now, but best believe if God gives me Queen to pair with Modest, I'm licking my chops. Like I said, there might be a good player available at 12th. I think it all depends on how the rest of the board shakes out. If Queen is there, for sure, you definitely take a chance on Queen. You take a chance on a few different players, I think, but there's also a good chance that maybe the guys that you wanted all went, top 10 or something like that. And you want to trade out of that spot. I think that's a valid thing to do, but it does come back to the conversation of like AK has not been good at getting value or maximizing value for these trades, especially when it comes to acquiring draft picks. It seems like he very much so undervalues acquiring additional draft picks. And I guess I would be hesitant to trust him to pull the trigger on a trade like that. Like, looking back on it, Julian Phillips, Dalen Terry, now Manas Buzelis, like Ayo Dosunmu before them. Like AK's had an okay track record. I know Patrick Williams, but AK's had an okay track record drafting in Chicago so far. It's not great. It's not, I wouldn't even say good, but it hasn't really been horrible either. So I think I hate to leave it like this because we got to go watch this playoff game, but I mean it seems like we're just in the same old boat we've always been in. Like apathy, we'll wait and see. It just doesn't seem like the good luck is gonna go our way anytime soon. There's not gonna be a superstar that demands a trade, and Chicago is one of their top options. As much as I want to joke about Giannis coming to Chicago and manifest, right? Put it out into the universe and try to manifest that to happen. Why the fuck would he? Why the fuck would he look at the front office in Chicago? Why would he look at Jerry Reinsdorf and he would say to himself, yeah, that's a better situation. Yeah, I was competing for championships in Milwaukee and then things kind of fell apart. We couldn't get out of the first round. So as the next chapter in my career, I'm not even going to make the playoffs at all. That'll show him, Giannis. That'll really show him. Come to Chicago. No, man. I don't want to leave things so bleak. But luck is really the only thing that we can look forward to. And yeah, someone said Jerry Reinsdorf sees Giannis and sees shirt sales. Yeah, I mean, maybe you sell the entire farm. You trade Modest, you trade Kobe, you trade Giddey, you trade everybody, and you get Giannis, and he has nobody around him, and he just leaves as soon as he's able to as a free agent. Right, you make the play in. Giannis would make the play in on the Bulls, but not the playoffs. So yeah, since he can't go to since he can't get out of the first round, let's just do the play-in tournament. That'll be safe. Yeah. So the way I look at it, the best path forward for the Bulls to get back to any kind of relevancy would be to get extremely dumb fucking lucky next year in the draft lottery, and that's just how it's going to keep going as long as they're run this way. Is we're just going to have to keep hoping that by some miracle stroke of luck, this team falls ass backwards into an undeniable player. And I think Modest is I don't know if I would call like a future MVP, but definitely an undeniable talent. And the Cooper Flags of the world, the Cam Boozers of the world, you have that same reaction of like, you don't pass on this guy. You don't trade that pick if by some stroke of just dumb fucking luck the Bulls were to get something like that, or a player demands a trade and they say Chicago is one of my top destinations, and the team that they are on is willing to negotiate with you. It's things like that where it's like, it's undeniable. You fall ass backwards into it. You can't reject it. You can't say no. You can't fuck it up. I guess let's knock on some wood. Maybe you can, but I think for AK, I don't know how much final say he has over the roster, over the personnel moves, and I hesitate to put it all on his shoulders, right? Because you definitely have ownership meddling in the process all the time, and that's just how the Bulls have been run forever, and yeah, I don't know, like, like if AK were operating purely from a basketball strategy perspective, you know, how that would differ from the like timidness, the fear of entering the luxury tax, the fear of trying something different. And Uthman makes a good point in the chat. Tanking was not rewarded this draft. It really hasn't been rewarded too much in the last few years. So that's definitely something to keep in mind is like you don't want to be the worst team in the NBA necessarily. You want to show something. And that goes back to having those young players on the roster to begin with. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a clear picture ahead of what they really could do differently. I think status quo is, you know, the most likely of they re-sign Giddey, they kind of run it back with mostly the same guys. They keep Vooch. Let Vooch walk in free agency next year, do some kind of sign and trade. Hope for the best in the draft lottery next season. That's really all we got. It's really all we got. So I don't know how much of this comes back to like the ownership being cheap and not wanting to invest in a team, not feeling confident enough, competent enough, not being willing enough to go out and spend some money on a trade for a superstar or trading for draft picks. And yeah, I guess it's just the Bulls, man. It's just the fucking Bulls. This is it. This is the Bulls. Like, this is the same shit. I don't know. There's nothing to really say. There's nothing new to say. I have no new perspective on this. I have no new stance on this team. Same team they've always been. Same franchise they've always been. Same shit it's always been. Just a different draft position. It's 12th instead of 7th. It's like 11 last year, 12 this year instead of 7. 3 years in a row or whatever the fuck. Well, that's my soapbox. We got a Cubs game to watch. We got a playoff basketball game to watch. I'm going to have to chop this shit up into clips. I'm going to have to watch myself talk about this. I'm going to have to watch myself being mad while I'm editing this. And then get mad again, remembering how I was mad when I was making this. Goro, yeah, you know what? Let's leave on a positive thought. It's a cool city. They got cool merch. They got a cool brand. I will say the stadium food, the concessions, gotta get the efficiency going. We were supposed to leave this on a positive note. I love living in Chicago. I'm so blessed to be from the Chicago area, to live here, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Beautiful fucking day today. Wouldn't trade it for anything. And I would trade some things for a better basketball team, but not where I live. So, thank you to anyone who stuck around to the end. I know we had some technical difficulties. Got fucking copyright striked. Let's go. Might lose my channel. No. But yeah, thank you guys. I'll see you on the other side. And